I've always been fascinated with different countries around the world, and I think it started when I was a little girl and I used to collect dolls. I had dolls from all sorts of different countries like Switzerland, Germany, Sweden, but I had an unusual one from Russia. This doll's different because it was made out of wood and it was hand painted by a folk artist. And a folk artist is someone who teaches themselves the art form. So this doll is interesting because it's in its little traditional Russian gear, and it has nesting dolls inside. So we had the largest one, now we have one that's a little bit smaller. If you open it up, another one, a little bit smaller, with different patterns and designs. And then another one. These tiny dolls are made out of wood that are hand carved and painted. And I used to love playing with them and deciding how I would display them on my shelf. Would I have them all closed up, side by side, next to each other, in order, or overlapping to make it a little interesting? Today I'm going to teach you how to draw a Matryoshka doll, and we will fill it with different shapes, lines, patterns, and colors, and then we'll cut them out and find an interesting way to place them. We're going to start out with the face of our Matryoshka doll, and I find it best to have a circle to trace. Now, I'm actually going to do 3 dolls. This one will be my largest, and then I need smaller shapes for the head, so I can use my Dixie cup. This is a little bit smaller, and I can turn it over and use the end of this for the smallest. So I'm going to start out near the top, leave some space for the head part. We're doing this circle part right here. Now I can go ahead and do the face. And you don't have to do the face the way I do it if you have a different way to do it. You can do that. We'll add some hair. Now we'll come around to the top, and then that's the head, and then we'll bring it down around on the sides for the body. I'm going to air draw it first. And then close it up. Now if I wanted to give her a little handkerchief to wrap around her head, I'd do a U, then I'd have one come to a point, another curved line. Now I can go ahead and decorate my doll. If I wanted to close this up and do a pattern on her handkerchief that's covering her head, I could think about different repeating shapes. If I want to do the bottom, like mine here has flowers, I could do flowers. I could add polka dots with my flowers. Sometimes I like to have things going off. It's always a good idea to have stuff go to the edges. And maybe the bottom I do another kind of pattern. So there's one doll. The second doll is going to be smaller. Actually, I could probably fit both dolls on this paper. So I'm going to go to the side of my paper and try to get a smaller one. I'm using a smaller circle than the first one. And I'll take the same steps. Maybe this one I'll give eyebrows. Give her some curly hair. A little kerchief. Now we'll do the head part. And then the body part. Go out and down. Take your time with your lines. And now think about the patterns you want to include on this one. Maybe you want stripes. Maybe you want to divide some of your space up. And we'll get the smallest one. Start out with your face. Do the head. Coming down for the body. This one's going to be shorter because I want it smaller than the one next door. When it's smaller, I'm going to have a hard time getting large details, so maybe I'll simplify some of my shapes. I like to do a little curved line to show form. Next step is to color. If you have crayons, you can use crayons, markers, you can paint. When you're done, you can go ahead and cut out your dolls. And then you can grab yourself a background paper. If you have a big one, you could line them up in a row. I do not, so I'm going to think about how I want to place them. I'll have maybe this bigger one in the back and maybe the smaller one up like that. You decide, and then go ahead and get your glue. There we go. Around the edges. To the next biggest. I don't go all the way to the edge. I leave a little finger space. And this one will overlap. Overlapping means something is placed in front of the other. Creates for an interesting composition. And there are our Matryoshka dolls with lots of different lines and patterns.